Astonishing Legends Network.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is a special bonus Patreon episode where we're going to give you a little taste of what we do on Patreon. It's not like the regular show. On Patreon, it's mostly AMAs and interviews with various people from the world of the paranormal, and this is one of them. Farah Yurdozu is a leading UFO researcher and author of several best-selling books. She's fluent in Turkish, English, and Spanish, so she's up on me language-wise by about 2.5 languages. And she is also known on several continents as an authority on alien abductions and the paranormal. Farah was a columnist for UFO Magazine, back when we had magazines, and she is a lecturer at UFO conferences worldwide. She's also the author of the impossible to find, and I know because I tried, Confessions of a Turkish Ufologist. And she is also the author of a book we covered way back in season 1, Love in an Alien Purgatory, which was all about David Huggins and his lifelong alien contact experiences. And the book includes David's paintings that he did of himself having sex with aliens. And it all makes my wife, Susan, very uncomfortable. By the way, Farah is all over YouTube, so if you guys are into YouTube, you can find her there very easily. A lot of the content is in Turkish, but not all of it, but if you do understand Turkish, you're in luck. She is a fascinating person. She is extremely knowledgeable about UFO mythology worldwide, and she has some very interesting theories of her own, so I'm excited for you to hear this conversation that we had. The audio takes a minute to get used to because I guess an internet link between Pasadena and Istanbul isn't always going to be the greatest, but we talk about all sorts of stuff. We sort of start right in the middle of things with alien-human hybrids, and from there, it gets weird. So, enjoy my conversation with the fascinating Farah Yurdozu. Here we go. So Farah, here in America, we're very interested in UFOs and, the supernatural, all of that sort of thing. And I'm wondering if that is the same in Turkey, or how open-minded are people when it comes to these sorts of topics?
We are very open-minded about the UFO reality or UFO question, and unidentified flying objects and extraterrestrial visitors. We are very much interested in the extraterrestrial visitors because in our history and in our mythology, there is a lot of information about them.
Now, I think I know what you mean when you say that. You're talking about like literally extraterrestrial origins of your people.
Turkish race's origin is the Central Asia. We came from the Central Asia. And we think that we have a connection with the lost continent of Mu, Lemuria. Mu was located in the Pacific Ocean, and when it collapsed, when it sank, many of the survivors came to Asia, Central Asia, and this is how Turkish race started and came to Anatolia, today's Turkey. And that's why in our mythology, there's always a connection with the extraterrestrial beings or the beings who came from the stars, who got married with the earth people, and a new race started. But you can find these symbols in the mythology of many other cultures all over the world.
I was just going to say, I find it really interesting because in American popular culture, mm-hmm. You can talk about UFOs and aliens and stuff, and it's fun, but I think people would be reluctant to say, "Oh, I've had a personal experience," because then people are like,
yes.
Right? As you experienced with David Huggins, and as you saw.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is that I have read a little bit about the Native American sort of their cultural belief and relationship to the idea. And for them, it is different. And there is more of a feeling of, oh, that's where we come from up there. That's where we came from. Yeah. And so those are the space people are our ancestors. But in Anglo storytelling, you don't, even Whitley Strieber doesn't say the visitors are our ancestors. He doesn't talk about it in quite that way.
According to Turkish culture, according to Turkish mythology or belief system, the origin of everything is the Sirius star system. Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius C. But Sirius is extremely important for our culture, for our spiritual culture, let me say. Not intellectual culture, but spiritual culture. Because we believe that our origin is Sirius. Because we also believe that Mu, continent of Mu, was started by the visitors who came from the Sirius. And another thing, I have so many things to tell you in this interview, but maybe one interview is not going to be enough. We will have to continue with the part 2, part 3, because that's a very wide topic and everything is connected with the next thing.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you, actually, for those in our listening audience who don't know, can you tell us what Mu is?
Mu is a lost continent. The other name of the Mu is Lemuria. It is just a continent, just like Atlantis. But Atlantis was located in the Atlantic Ocean. Mu, or Lemuria, same thing, was located in the Pacific Ocean. But they didn't exist in the same time. Mu is older. Atlantis came later. So actually, let me tell you about myself a little bit, my research and how I was born into these topics.
Oh, great. I would love to hear that story, because I heard a little bit about it, about your grandfather.
My family, from my mother's side, always they had their paranormal experiences and encounters, many different things. So since I was a little girl, probably 5 years old, 6 years old, I started to hear these stories. This is how I had this interest for the topics. I graduated Istanbul University, Spanish language and literature department with a degree of Spanish teacher. But all my life, I was very much interested in the paranormal, UFOs, reincarnation, spiritual beings, everything that we can call new age topics today. But I have to add something. I don't like new age. It's another topic. Yes, this is how I started. So when I came to United States, I already wrote and published several books in my country, Turkey, about UFOs. So I was already a UFO writer. Actually, I'm the first female UFO writer in my country. I was already a published writer when I moved to United States, almost 15 years ago.
I'm curious, so before you wrote your books, what books did you come across? Were there other books written in Turkey? Were there books that had been translated? What were the ones you knew?
Yeah, obviously we have other investigators and writers who had books about UFOs, paranormal, Turkish writers. I was reading them. But probably the first UFO book I ever read was Eric von Daniken's Chariots of the Gods. That's the beginning for everybody. Yeah, everybody. So I was very little when it came. Actually, probably they made a movie or documentary about that book in 1970s.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was a very popular movie.
Oh, yeah.
And this is how I started. And after that, obviously, as I also speak Spanish, I was able to read Spanish books and articles about UFOs. And when you read Spanish and English, you can cover most of the ufology, because UFOs are popular mostly in the United States and Mexico and South America. And the third place is Turkey. because we always had UFO encounters in our country, close encounters, abductions, still going on. And it is not a secret in Turkish society, and it is not a forbidden topic. When there is a major UFO activity in Turkey, you can find all the information on media, on social media, on television shows, on the newspapers' front pages. It is not a forbidden topic. It is not a shame in our country to talk about you were abducted by the aliens or you were visited by extraterrestrials. When I moved to the United States, of course, my intention was to continue my teaching job as a Spanish teacher. And somebody told me that, please, don't speak about UFOs. Don't mention that you are writing books about UFOs when you are looking for a job, because you will never, ever get a job if you talk about UFOs. But I got a job as a Spanish teacher. So, and I was very much surprised. And I said, but United States is the origin of the ufology. I mean, ufology started in the United States in 1940s after the Roswell case. So why do you react like this to that person? And he said that, yes, that's true. But we see ufology as an entertainment. We don't see it as a science. And that person was not into the topic. He was an outsider.
Right. Right. So, I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. I think it's something that it's like, oh, it's fun to talk about, but not to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to me, for instance, that your books are not easily, readily available in bookstores in translated editions so that Americans can read about the way the UFOs and the idea of UFOs and alien abduction is dealt with in another country. And Turkey just being one example. I mean, their books aren't translated from Japanese, from Spanish. There's just no mix. So we know all the people we know, and we don't know the people we don't know. And we're all right here. And we've had the internet for 20, 25 years. Yeah. And it feels like it's still sort of like, oh yeah, this is all news to me. Everything you're saying about Turkey and how the topic is addressed, total news to me. And I consume information in this area all the time. So that's what makes it so interesting. I get the feeling that when you said, hey, I'm going to study UFOs, no one blinked an eye. Everyone was just fine with that in your family.
It was normal, of course. I mean, it was a regular topic in the family, not only in my family. In Turkish society, it's something normal. And when I lived in the United States, I was invited to many of the major UFO conferences all over the country. Obviously, Roswell a few times, Roswell UFO Conference, and Nevada Laughlin International UFO Conference, and many others. So in those UFO conferences, I had the chance to talk about my country's UFO, paranormal, and metaphysical background. So it was a good time, actually. And again, in those years, there was a UFO magazine. Do you remember in the United States? I was a columnist, and I wrote a column for many years.
Which UFO magazine was it?
It was, the name is UFO Magazine.
Oh, okay. It was
UFO Magazine.
When were you here? Anymore. What was the decade that you were here, or the years?
I'm 10 years. I lived there 10 years. I moved back in 2010.
So 2000 to 2010. You were
2001 and 2010. Yes, 10 years, almost 10 years.
Okay.
So, but UFO Magazine was very popular in those years. They don't publish it anymore because nobody reads any books or any magazines anymore. And in those times, internet was not so much popular. So there was internet, obviously, but it wasn't like this. So let's go back to my great-grandfather's story. My great-grandfather was a prominent law school teacher and a writer of the Ottoman law, because this happened in Ottoman times. As you know, in 19th century, we are talking about 19th century, 1800s, late 1800s, He was probably 35 years old. For today's, he's considered a very young man, but he was already married and 5 children, typical Ottoman family. So in an Ottoman family, they lived in a big house with 5 children. They needed helpers, nannies. It's a very crowded household. And by Ottoman government, he received an invitation to go to Baghdad, to Iraq, and to start a new law school there, and to teach there and to be the director. And he accepted the offer. But he said that I cannot take all my family with me. And the train was the only transportation way to go to Iraq from Istanbul. There's no airplanes, there's no flights. So he left his family in Istanbul and he traveled to Iraq by himself. He rented a house there and he started his job, his daily routine, whatever. But after a while, he started to have economical difficulties because he had to rent a house there, pay the rent, and for his daily routine. And also he was sending money to Istanbul for his family. And the salary of a government teacher was not enough, just like today. And he wasn't sure if he did the right thing going there. One morning, he leaves the house in order to go to university. And a completely unknown, strange Arabic man greets him, saying his name, addressing his name. Good morning, how are you doing? His name was Refik. And my great-grandfather says, good morning, but I don't know you. What do you want? Who are you? And the guy says that, don't worry, I know you. You are a very nice man. You are an honest man. But I also know that you are having economical difficulties and I want to help you. And my great-grandfather says that I don't need any help from the foreigners. He says, don't worry. And he gives him a rosary, you know, the praying beads, Islamic style, but the big one. He says, take this and take these prayers and read them tonight and wait. And whatever it happens, don't panic. And my great-grandfather doesn't want to accept this offer because actually he doesn't believe in these things. But the guy forces him to take the papers, all the prayers, and the beads, praying beads. Anyway, in the nighttime, he comes back to his house. He is alone. He doesn't have anybody at home. He reads the prayers. Actually, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to open the interdimensional gates, by the way. Yeah. So it's a mathematical system. You have to repeat some of the prayers or some of the words or sentences in specific numbers in order to open the interdimensional gates. He goes back to bed, and after a while, the door opens, the door of the bedroom opens, and the two beings comes into his bedroom. And I heard this story from my grandmother hundreds of times. My great-grandfather described the beings as two monsters, half human, half animal, and their eye was snake eyes. Snake eyes. Their pupils was vertical, like snakes. So in those times, they didn't know about the reptilians. But now, according to his description, we can easily say that, yes, they were reptilians because he describes actually the reptilians without knowing the reptilians. So the two beings are really scary. They had horns and a tail. I mean, both of them. No clothes on their body. And one of them stays at the end of the bed, and the other one stays at the head part of the bed. So they start a kind of communication without speaking. My great-grandfather was in a horrible fear and panic, and he started to shake. And he decided that he doesn't want to make any pacts or any deals with those beings, because obviously they were there in order to offer him help but with a condition. And the condition is always a pact. Pact is always an agreement. Because those beings, we don't know their origin. If they were evil or if they were angel, but they didn't look very angelic. When they come to help you, they also receive something from you. And what they receive maybe is your spiritual energy, maybe something from your family. And my great-grandfather started to repeat actually, the prayers in reverse in order to send them back, in order to send them away. The beings started to leave the room, but they were walking in reverse from back.
That is the best.
So remember, baby, that is the worst. Remember that we used to have videotapes?
Yes.
VHS videotapes.
Oh, yeah.
So when you reverse the movie, the people runs in backwards.
Sure.
Or walks in backwards, just like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, they left. And in the rest of the night, my great-grandfather was not able to sleep. Early in the morning, he got dressed and he went outside. And the Arabic guy was waiting for him, very angry. And he called him and he said that you're a stupid man. If you were a little bit brave and strong, they were ready to give you whatever you want in this materialistic world, all the fortune you want, whatever. And meanwhile, my great-grandfather was trying to send them away the night before. He got a kind of telepathical message from them, from the beings. And he remembers that they said, from you to 3 generations. From you to 3 generations. So, obviously, he wasn't able to make a lot of money in Iraq, and he was never, ever was a rich man. He was just a regular government teacher. He came back to Istanbul, to his house, and obviously, he told this story in the family. They said that they were demons. But after this incident, his children started to develop psychic abilities. One of them was my grandmother. Another one, my grandmother's older sister. Another one, my grandmother's younger brother. Especially younger brother was a prominent spiritualist. Older sister was a very good psychic medium. My grandmother also. So they were the first generation. Second generation was my mom and my aunt. And I'm the third generation. Also, my cousin has some incidents, some psychic abilities. So this is the third generation. This is how I started to have an interest on these topics.
Does your family feel that this has been a blessing or a curse?
Well, actually, we didn't get harm. We didn't get harmed from this. So we didn't have difficulties in our life. Especially for me, I never ever considered this as a curse, because to be able to see the unknown world, I think it's a blessing, because the life and the world is not limited with only physical aspects. Beyond physical aspects, there is a infinity, endless possibilities. Because we are talking about the human soul. We are talking about the unknown parts of the brain, human brain, which is parapsychology. Spiritualism, spiritual world is different. Parapsychology is different. Ufology is different. But when you consider them as a package, as a whole package, probably it is the only way to understand the meaning of the life. The meaning of the...
Were your relatives, were they also the sort of mediums that could
Yeah,
speak?
my cousin.
Oh, your cousin. So is she or he?
She is 1 year older than me. She's 1 year older than me. And I'm 100% sure that she was abducted by aliens too. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Does she, but does she do work as a medium? Does she speak to those who have passed on?
No. Her abilities, actually, probably 15 years ago, she was more active in those psychic messages, but mostly her incidents were alien abductions. And it started with a miraculous healing first. A being visited her, and she was suffering of a minor health problem, but suddenly she was healed. And after that, yes, I think she was abducted.
Well, so wait, does she think she was abducted?
Well, actually, here's the thing. She describes me what is her experience. And I know the alien abduction symptoms very well. So to me, it is an alien abduction. For her, it is the spiritual beings.
Well, that's interesting. So when she describes it, does she describe a craft, a circular craft, a physical examination, those sort of things?
Basically like this. As you know, these things happen in the nighttime when you are in the bed or when you are half asleep. So one night she wakes up in her bed, in her bedroom, and there is a ball of light in the room. And inside of the ball or inside of the circle, a girl, a woman, wearing a shining costume, like silver color. She says, "Ask me whatever you want. I'm here to help you." And she says, just like my great-grandfather, "I don't want anything from you." But then she doesn't remember anything. And the next morning, she has a huge red color circle on the back of her body where she was suffering from a kind of health problem. And the health problem is gone. So she was healed in that night. And after that, she had other experiences too.
Wow, that is so different. I mean, of all the UFO stories I tend to hear that take place in the United States, no one ever gets asked, "Hey, what can we do for you?" It always appears very almost predatory, almost we're taking from you. We're taking physical tissue. We're taking, you're just animals and we're running the show and we're not here to heal you, help you, grant you wishes, none of that.
Yeah. And I also had my own UFO sightings and some encounters as well when I was very little. Probably I was 4 years old, maybe 3 years old. So this is how I decided to investigate and try to understand the world of UFOs. But now it has been, I was there in 2001, 2003, until 2010. And I was in many of the UFO conferences. Now the ufology in the United States, I'm not sure, has a different way, has a different goal, or is there any developments, or is everything the same? I'm not sure. I don't know. But this is something that I would like to ask you.
The overwhelming number of people who are interested in UFOs, both as professionals or as sort of public spokespeople for it, they are interested in disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
And they are obsessed with government conspiracy. Mm-hmm. And Freedom of Information Act, and which is fine. But that is the main thrust: is the government knows something. There are alien bodies, there are crashed disks and reverse engineered, technology that we have. People within the government know this. They're not telling us. We need to find out. And it very much is centered around that. And then, strangely, to a far lesser degree, is simply the interest in speaking with people who have had personal experiences and then trying to deduce backward from that what the nature of those encounters might be. Are they extraterrestrial? Are they from another dimension? Are they spiritual? We don't know. But that conversation is little. The big one is the military, the government, all that kind of stuff.
Actually, it seems that nothing has changed since I moved back to Istanbul. Because when I was there, it was the same topic. It's the same conversation.
Okay, so now I'll ask you, in Turkey, are people running around going, the Turkish government, they're hiding secrets from us?
No, not in that way, obviously.
That's amazing to me. That's amazing to me.
No. Here is the thing. Now in my own country, I'm very active in social media and on networks, television networks. Actually, yesterday I was on a YouTube show, and I'm invited to many of the television network shows on these topics. And on YouTube, now we are using YouTube a lot. Actually, more than television stations, more than television shows. This is what I'm trying to explain, or this is what I'm trying to find an answer. We are talking about extraterrestrial groups, different races, different groups. Maybe they are coming from different planets. Maybe they are coming from the another planet or dimension. It doesn't matter actually where are they coming from. But based on the experiences of the individuals, we talk about the gray aliens, we talk about the Nordics, we talk about the hybrids, and we talk about the reptilians, and there are other groups as well. But how do they come to this world? With aircrafts, with UFOs, with flying objects, okay? So it means that their technology is much more advanced than our technology. And also there is the, not only in 20th century, before the 20th century, we can see the proof of the aliens. We can see the UFOs. I mean, since the Neolithic times, because in the cave, on the cave paintings, they describe the aliens, our ancestors, and they describe the UFOs. It's another topic. But anyway, now, if you have such a strong army of UFOs, if you have such an advanced technology, you can show yourself anytime and anywhere you want. If there is a secrecy on UFOs and extraterrestrial races, not any world government, not because any world government is hiding them. Extraterrestrials themselves want to hide them. They don't want to reveal their own identity. There has been a secrecy since Sumerian times.
Okay. So if we let's think about that for a second. So let's forget about governments and let's think about the idea that there is another race of beings that are either, I mean, maybe they're completely biological, maybe they're not so much, maybe they're semi-physical or, physical sometimes, but not always. They can sort of, come in and out of our reality at will.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and they've been here all along, interacting with us in various ways. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what do you think? What do you think is behind all of it? What are they up to? What do you think?
Well, I'm going to give you an example. Personally, I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat meat. I don't eat animals. I don't eat chicken. I don't eat red meat. I don't eat fish. This is my preference.
I'm so sorry.
This is my preference. This is how I am happy.
Oh, good. Okay. In that case, I'm happy.
Yeah. But in this world, as you know, meat industry is a huge economical industry. It's a huge economical income, right? For all over the planet, everywhere.
Yes.
So the leading companies of the meat industry raise up the animals in the farms, and then they sent them to, where do they cut them? I don't remember the name.
The slaughterhouse. I don't like where this is going, by the way.
Slaughterhouse, yes. And then the meat is in the supermarkets and the grocery stores, whatever. People eat them. And then we need more animals, more animals, more animals, more animals. In this world, as long as people need to feed themselves with meat, they have to raise up more animals. They will never, ever kill all the cows, all the lambs, all the sheep,
Okay.
because they will need more. And this is how extraterrestrials want to keep us alive.
Okay, now hang on.
They need us. They need us.
Now, okay, everybody stop screaming. Hold on a second.
I don't mean that they are eating us, not in the physical way. I don't mean
okay,
that
because
they
it did
need
sound
our
like
blood.
that's where you were going.
No,
like
no,
maybe
no.
we were just,
obviously not. No.
You know, John
I don't
Keel
mean that.
said we're the cattle.
No. We are kind of cattle for them, but they will never ever invade this planet or kill all the human beings or eliminate the human race. They will never ever do that because they need us.
But what do they need us for? What do they want from us? What do we have that they don't have? They're so advanced.
Yeah. Actually, probably, maybe they are not so advanced. We are not sure about that.
So what do they want from us? What do they get from us?
What do they want from us? Did you hear about Göbekli Tepe in Turkey? In Turkey, Göbekli Tepe?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe, two Neolithical hills from Neolithical times. Actually, their history goes back to 12,000 years ago. Okay. And they are considered the oldest structures made by the humans on this planet. They are older than the Egyptian pyramids. They are older than the Stonehenge. So they were built 12,000 years ago by a race that we don't know. So I visit there every month, twice, actually, because I'm taking tours there.
Huh.
So they were Neolithical buildings, structures. At the beginning, they were considered as temples, but then archaeologists decided that they are not temples, it's something else. Actually, they are not temples because 12,000 years ago, there wasn't any religion. So what were they using as a temple? We don't know who built them. We don't know what language they were speaking between each other. We don't know what race was living there, but the structures, the buildings are huge. And they were buried in the ground, actually. For 12,000 years, they were covered with the earth. They were underground. But now the archaeological excavations are continuing. Every day they are finding new structures. So all these years, me too, I also expected the disclosure from the sky. I also expected the disclosure will come from the sky. But now, with the discovery of the Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe, two different locations, maybe the disclosure will come from the inside of the earth, from the underground, from the inner world, inner earth.
Huh.
Maybe we are waiting for the answer from the wrong direction. Maybe it's not coming from the sky. Maybe it's coming from the earth. Maybe. Of course, I cannot prove this.
But you didn't tell me what they want from humans.
Okay. Alien abduction is a huge thing in order to prove the existence of the extraterrestrials or these beings. I don't care if they are coming from the space or if they are coming from the Agartha or Shambhala. The goal, the purpose of the alien abduction, as far as we know so far, is to create a hybrid race. And they have been doing this. There is a proof, there is a physical proof about the alien abduction, which is the microchips, implants. So that's the physical proof, scientific proof of the alien abduction.
Okay.
Because so many abductees found the microchips in their body, in a part of their body, and it was removed surgically, and it was analyzed in the laboratories. That's the proof. So I think that these groups, different groups, at least 4 groups maybe, they needed to continue their race. Maybe because of the health reasons. Maybe they are looking for a cure for their race. I don't think that they are very much evolved spiritually. Maybe they are, as you say, half biological, half mechanical, but they are trying to go back to something organic from the mechanic. Obviously, it is not a kind of organ traffickers. I don't call them organ traffickers. I hope they are not.
Nice.
I hope they are not. But again, they want to implant something. They want to implant a seed into human body and into human soul. Because alien abduction is not only happening in the body. It is not only physical implants. Yes, it is also the physical microchips implants. But it is also something happening in the human soul, in the human consciousness. Actually, we are the witness of this process, at least in the last 30 years. But again, there's another problem. The other problem is the New Age movement. New Agers, I'm not a New Ager, New Agers always hoped, always prayed for the UFOs to come and fix this world, stop the wars, bring peace, stop the economical problems, enlightenment, light workers, as you know, light workers. And the world is not a very happy place. We always ask this question in Turkey. Now, in Turkey, in my country, yes, UFOs are, people are open-minded about UFOs, that's for sure. But also, we have a radical ufology also in Turkey, too. Radical ufologists. So they almost consider UFOs or aliens as a kind of savior, spiritual savior, religious. They consider the UFO concept almost as if it is a religion,
right?
Which I don't agree, of course. I completely don't agree. And in 1999, there are so many radical groups in Turkey, radical UFO groups. They were expecting that UFOs will come and pick up the humans and take them to their planet in 1999. It's hard to believe that, but I know in our country, some groups, they packed their suitcases. Believe me, I'm not kidding.
No, I believe
they packed suitcases and they waited all night. UFOs. It was December 31st, 1999, because they were expecting that when we enter in 2000, it is going to be millennium. UFOs didn't come, and it was a big frustration. And after a while, they were expecting the end of the Mayan calendar in 2012, when I was there. Again, another coming. It didn't happen, another frustration. So there is a radical ufology in my country, too.
So the radical ufology are the ones, are sort of the New Agers who believe that
New Agers, yes, New Agers, they believe.
Whoever the aliens are, they're going to be the savior. They're up there and we're down here, and they're going to lift us up. And that's the mindset.
They're going to stop the wars. They are going to stop the economical problems, and the world is going to be a golden age. And it's not going to happen like this. It's not going to happen.
You know what's strange is that I almost think there's more people who believe that than might say that they believe we're under attack and the aliens are going to come, and when they come, they're going to wipe us out. Like, weirdly, I don't hear that very much at all. Which
And
I guess is good.
I really don't think that there will be a UFO alien invasion attack. It's not going to happen. But it's not going to happen, how can I say, a golden age of humanity. It's not happening. It never happened, actually. When you look at the world history, never happened. Never.
Yeah, right. There's never been anything overt.
Yeah.
So if it's been going on and something's been going on, I mean, even if you just take the short amount of time, and this is very, sort of Western point of view, but in the last, 50 years, there's been a lot of talk about, well, wait a second, maybe these aliens are just what we used to call fairies or, spirits, that lived in the woods. I mean, they all operate the same way. They all have a wand and they glow and they take you away. Maybe they switch you out. They switch your babies, the changeling, and maybe it's, and maybe now they're just coming in the guise of outer space aliens, but maybe that's just the mask they're wearing right now, because 100 years ago or 200 years ago, they presented differently. They presented as spirits that lived in the woods that were part animal or something like that. Do you think what do you think of that?
I agree with this concept to a certain point, because actually this idea or this concept belongs to Jacques Vallée, a French UFO investigator. He was one of the pioneers. And he was right in many ways. He is right in many ways. But I also think that ufology is something very social. It is about the society's changes. Ufology is changing based on the society's needs. There are different kinds of ufology in the world. In 1950s, there were guys like George Adamski. He said that he was taken to moon. He was taken to Venus. He said that in California desert, Mojave, he was encountered with the aliens. A long, blonde-haired, blue eyes, tall, Nordic aliens. Because in that time, they didn't know about the reptilians. They didn't know about the aliens. Look at the photographs of the UFOs. Look at photographs of the UFOs in 1940s, 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Their shape and their model are changing, or has changed, based on the concept of the time. Just like the car models. So I don't mean that all the photographs or all the videos are fake, but there are many fake UFO photographs and video photographs. There are many of them. Many fakes. Obviously, some of them are original and real. And talking about the Roswell case, Roswell crash, but the Roswell autopsy movie was completely fake. And it was proved. The persons who prepared everything confessed. And even though they didn't confess, it was obvious that it was a fake footage. But even in my country, in Turkey, people believed it. And it was many years ago. Actually, it was before I moved to the United States. It came out. I said that this is fake. They didn't believe me, and they were blamed.
Right. Yeah, people. Me. Yeah. I totally understand that. So I'm curious. So you certainly have an idea of what the UFO culture in America is like, and you certainly know what the UFO culture in Turkey is like. Are there other regions of the world where you're familiar with, I would say, their brand of ufology, and in what ways is it different from yours and mine?
Yeah. Spain, obviously, and South America and Mexico. In Spain, I have very good friends, very good ufologists. They did their real research. and in Mexico also, in South America also, Central America. So for some reason, Europe is not very much interested in UFOs. Asia is not very much interested in UFOs. Think about this. United States, in United States, you can meet people from every nation, right? From every country. I mean, not only from China, not only from Mexico, but from everywhere. I used to go to those UFO conferences in California, in Washington, D.C., in New Jersey, and New York, many places. Audience, I mean, the people who come to listen us, for some reason, these are open to public. These conferences, these lectures, these gatherings are open to everybody. But almost 99% of the people who come to listen to conferences were white Americans. Why?
I don't know.
Not African Americans, not Asian Americans.
Totally.
Only white
I've
Americans.
noticed this. Where
Why?
look, it's all white dudes. I mean,
Why?
and then some women, no people of color.
No, not at all. Not Asian Americans, not African Americans, or just, I mean, American Americans.
Right. Native American, yeah, but no African Americans,
not Native
no
American, Native
Latin,
Americans,
Latinx,
no Cubans, Puerto Ricans, or whatever. I mean, I had many neighbors in New Jersey, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, but they never came to listen to me. They were not interested in the topic.
So you're saying there really is just a lack of interest in the topic. If you go to these regions, people will be like, yeah, whatever.
Another thing, it seems to me, ufology from 1940s, actually it started before the Second World War. Ufology was designed for only white people.
What do you mean?
It was designed, it was produced, it was written only for the expectations for the white people.
Go on.
For instance, now in any country, there are rich cities, poor villages, very remote towns. Yes, now we have a level of technology everywhere, but not everywhere. Even today, in African countries, even in the cities, they have a shortage of electricity every day. Even in the big cities in African countries. And they cannot, obviously they have technology, obviously they have internet connection, computers, but because of the lack of the electricity, sometimes they cannot use it. And if this is happening in an advanced African country, advanced city of an African country, think about a remote town. Think about a town in Pakistan or in Hindustan, India. There are millions of people all over the world. They lack many things. So if we are expecting a disclosure of UFOs, and if we are expecting, personally, I don't expect, if we are expecting the UFOs, the extraterrestrials, will show themselves openly, clearly to this planet, the reactions and the expectations will be very different by different group of people who live in this planet. What I expect from extraterrestrials is completely different. What a poor girl who lives in a poor village, or a woman who has 5 children without money, her expectations is completely different. So first of all, Spiritually, this planet is based on duality. Duality. It means that rich and poor, good and bad, black and white, hot and cold, whatever, it's all together. That's our lesson. That's our destiny as a human race. So when there is a duality, how do we elevate the reality of UFOs? So who are they going to talk? Are they coming to the big cities? Are they going to a poor country, advanced country? If they choose, who are they going to save? What are they going to change for us?
So what is that expectation? Yeah. I mean, let's talk about the example you gave of the woman living in poverty with children. Yeah. What might her expectation be?
So her only hope is the food for her children. She doesn't care about the advanced UFO technology. She wants food. She wants safety for her children because she doesn't have a husband. She lost her husband. Probably her children is sick. That's a reality. She doesn't care about the UFOs. She wants just a safe place to live with her children and a little bit food. But for a New Ager, the expectation is completely different. So in that case, what are they going to do, the extraterrestrials, when they arrive? Actually, it's a big problem for them. Maybe it's better not to come here.
Well, what you seem to be suggesting, and it's interesting, and I've never thought of it, is that as you sort of move up the socioeconomic ladder to people whose needs in terms of food and shelter and medicine are met on a daily basis.
Obviously.
I almost feel like you're saying they have the luxury of imagining extraterrestrials and thinking of them either in terms of what technology do they bring our country, or what or how do they threaten what I already have?
So ufology is something very social. It's about the social structure of this human race.
Well, look, this has been great, and I know we're about to wrap up, but before we do, I have to ask about, and you'll have to explain to our audience what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
But sure. I'm simply going to say the brown paint on the hands.
Brown paint on the hands. Okay.
I've never heard of this before.
Yeah. The brown paint on the hands, it is another Turkish and Middle Eastern mark, actually. Now, here is the thing. Before the extraterrestrial concept, in our society, both in Turkey and in Middle East, I mean Islamic countries, we know about the interdimensional beings that we call them jinn. Jinn. What is a jinn? Jinn is a spiritual being without a physical body. It is not a ghost. It is not the soul of a deceased person. According to religions, actually, Christianity accepts the existence of the jinns. It is not only in Islam. Jewish religion also accepts the existence of the jinns. Pagan and shaman religions also know and accept the reality of the jinns. It is not only in Islam. Jinns were created before the humans were created. It's an older race. But they belong to another dimension. They don't belong to this physical dimension. They can enter to our dimension for a limited time. They can have a temporary body or holographic image, but it is only for a temporary time. It's a short time. They can show themselves as a human, as a man, as an animal, or as a family member from your family. There are different groups of jinns. Some of them like humans, they help them. Some of them hate humans, and they try to use them for their purposes. According to our belief system, according to our traditional belief system, when jinns visit you or they take you to somewhere, they mark you, your hands, your palms, and the bottom of your feet with a brown color substance. It's like a henna, but it is not a henna. And it smells like henna, but you can wash it. You cannot clean it off. It stays on your body for many days. Now, also, after some alien abductions, not all the cases, some of the alien abductions, abductees found these brown colored substances on their body, on their hands, on their feet. This happened in the United States also. It happened in Israel also, after the alien abduction. And Dr. David Jacobs, one of the prominent ufologists, and he is an expert on alien abduction. He wrote many books, and he is very well known in alien abduction topic. One of his cases came back from the alien abduction with those brown colored substances. It's not happening only in Turkey or in Middle East, but mostly it is happening on this part of the world. Now, I have a YouTube channel where experiencers, both alien abduction, contact, or contact with the other interdimensional beings, they sent me their story, their experience, and I read it on the camera and I talk about it and I give my opinion. But I have a rule, I keep secret the names of the witnesses. I don't reveal the person's names or identities or their faces. I keep it secret. Anyway, but they sent me the photographs of the brown color substances on their feet and on their hand, and sometimes on the other parts of the body. If I show you the photographs, you cannot believe it. And I can send you some of the photographs because it doesn't show the person's face, only feet and the hand. As if you stepped on iodine with your bare foot, or you pushed your hands against on a pool of iodine.
Wow.
And both your hands, it's just like iodine color. But it is not, because when somebody comes to me with this brown color substance, suddenly it happens in one night. It is not an allergy. It is not fungus. It is not a skin condition. But just in case, I recommend them to go to a dermatologist and take samples and check make an analyze. So they did it. Dermatologists didn't find any biological reasons. It is not fungus. It is not an allergy. It is not anything related to the skin. And the dermatologist cannot find a reason, cannot find an explanation. There's no explanation of this.
Have they been able to identify what the substance is?
No.
I would love to see pictures of this.
Yeah, I can send you. Because I have a big collection of feet and hands with this iodine. Yeah, it's a strange collection, but it's a reality.
That's your business, all right?
Yeah. It's important because it is the physical proof of a contact. But we are not sure.
That's fantastic.
It's a extraterrestrial contact or it's an interdimensional being contact. Maybe both.
Farah, thank you so much. Will you come back? We can do this again?
Yes, anytime you want. Okay, thank you very much, Richard. I'm so happy to meet you.
So that is our conversation with Farah Yurdozu, ufologist, author, and all-around cool person. We had such a great time talking to each other, and part 2 will be on Patreon soon. So this is the kind of stuff that I hope to bring you on Patreon. We've got more interviews coming up with authors connected to books that we have discussed, and also people in the world of parapsychology and the paranormal in general, even if we have not discussed their books on the show. That's what we're bringing you on Patreon. I hope you'll come and check us out. We're having a good time over there. And in the meantime, go ahead and check out the show notes. Go to our website, click on View All Episodes, scroll down to this episode, click on Listen Now, and get a look at those pictures of people with brown markings on their hands and feet. It's pretty weird. Anyway, it's been great spending time with you, and we will hang out again soon. Richard Hatem's Paranormal Bookshelf is presented by Astonishing Legends, 134 West, and Summerland Entertainment. Executive producers, Scott Philbrook, Forrest Burgess, and Susan Lambert. Our associate producer is Tess Feifel, and our sound designer, engineer, and editor is Kevin Ducey. Artwork is by Tommy Beaver. Website is by Kayla Lord, and our music, as always, is by Nima Kazaruni. Please join us next time for our Christmas episode where we talk about one of the strangest books I've ever read, Surgeon from Another World by George Chapman and Roy Stemmen. Until then, be safe and be well, find the light in the dark, and we'll see you again soon.